I just came from the mines, and I'm here to see if coal is a stupid way to make electricity. I'm Justin Pack, this is EcoBits, and today I'd like to see if digging up chunks of fossilized plants and setting them on fire is viable or incredibly stupid. So, is there anything good about coal? Let's find out. Now, in this era, we're trying to get to Mars and start bioprinting human organs. You'd think what I'm going to talk about is going to be common sense. Unfortunately, we live in a time where special interest reigns supreme and everything is politicized, which is why you get world leaders saying crazy stuff like this.
Clean, beautiful coal. Clean, beautiful coal.
So fact number one, it produces more CO2 per unit of electricity than major fuel sources. And 97% of actively publishing scientists on this topic agree that human-caused CO2 emissions are bad. It's the kind of thing you should focus on if we want to keep living here. You know, if your house is smoking, you should probably do something about that. Stop. Get some help. Okay. Why does coal produce so much CO2? For starters, coal is basically concentrated carbon formed from ancient plants being compressed over millions of years. So by burning what amounts to a dense brick of carbon, not surprisingly, you're releasing carbon stored over millions of years into the atmosphere all at once, like a carbon-flavored party popper. Now, in 1850, when coal was powering the Industrial Revolution and guys on trains were shoveling into the furnace as fast as possible to make the choo-choo go choo-choo, this probably didn't seem like a big deal. Nobody was concerned with greenhouse gases. They were preoccupied with things like cholera and mercury poisoning. But now we're smarter, as evidenced by the fact that doctors no longer practice bloodletting, and we don't think the moon is made of cheese. And we can measure the impact of CO2. Just how much CO2 is in coal compared to other energy sources? Well, according to the US Energy Information Administration, coal produces 2.31 pounds of CO2 per kilowatt hour. Natural gas produces 0.96 pounds, solar is around 0.09 pounds, hydro is 0.05, and onshore wind produces 0.02, and nuclear is around 0.03 pounds. The only power generation that coal just barely outperforms is just straight up burning oil, which is around 2.46 pounds of CO2. And we know this is bad and expensive, which is why petroleum generation makes up less than 1% of electricity generated. I also feel it's worth mentioning that most of these are measured in grams, while coal was measured in pounds. I had to convert up. I feel like that should tell you something. So coal sucks at emissions, and it's not just that coal is worse than other clean energy sources, it's worse than the dirty ones, like all of them. Hank Green did a nice job covering this in a video, and I recommend you guys watch it if you want another deep dive on this question. That video is down in the description. Okay, so coal produces more CO2 than any other source of energy, including burning the furniture in your house. I wonder how much CO2 is in an IKEA. But on to fact number two. Coal also releases methane. This happens mostly through the mining process, although methane often continues to leak out of abandoned mines for decades, like a forever fart. This is a gas that is extremely potent and 28 times more powerful than CO2 over a 10-year period, although it remains in the atmosphere for a much shorter period of time, typically 10 to 12 years. It traps heat very efficiently, and as a result, it's a major driver of near-term warming, like a methane air fryer, and we're all just God's chicken nuggets. So coal is extremely detrimental when it comes to warming the planet, just getting it out of the ground. Now, when you burn it, it releases a long list of nasty crap into the air. So pull up a respirator and I'll take you through the list. First, you've got particulate matter. These are tiny particles of soot and ash that, according to the World Health Organization, can penetrate deep into your lungs and bloodstream, causing heart disease, lung disease, premature death, generally having a bad time. And also very bad, sulfur dioxide, which is formed from the sulfur in the coal. This is what creates the acid in acid rain. Together they damage the forests, acidify lakes, and kill aquatic life. If that wasn't enough, nitrogen oxides are also produced during high-temperature coal combustion, which create ground-level smog and continue to contribute to respiratory problems. Then, of course, there's mercury, and according to the UNEP, coal is the largest human-made source of mercury emissions across the globe. Well, even though Mercury is my favorite Sailor Scout, she's great when she's in a thermometer, less great when she's in your food source. This dangerous neurotoxin can be found in a variety of fish and crustaceans, and typically in greater amounts with each step up you take up the aquatic food chain. So historically, saltwater fish only displayed mercury contamination, but freshwater fish like bass, pike, and perch are increasingly showing measurable levels of mercury, and many states have issued consumption advisory for these species. I wonder what's causing that. But wait, there's more! Heavy metals including arsenic, lead, cadmium are also released when the burning of coal. And like the rest of the stuff on this list, they lead to horrible things like cancer, organ damage, water contamination, you know, where the fish live. Finally, in addition to carbon dioxide, the burning of coal also releases carbon monoxide. You know this stuff is bad when the hardware store sells you a home detection kit to alert you before it kills your family. Essentially, the stuff coal releases is like a top 10 list of chemicals you should not be ingesting, so take this BuzzFeed quiz to see which one you are. I hope I get arsenic, not cadmium. So there has to be a way to improve this, right? But wait, what about clean burning coal, you ask? And by you, I mean a coal lobbyist.
Clean, beautiful coal.
So let's talk about clean burning coal. First, it's important to realize this is a moniker that was not created from a scientific designation, but simply a marketing shtick, like Wi-Fi or the Electoral College. Clean burning coal is the low calorie of coal, brought to you by the people who made coal. Clean coal was the industry's response to laws like the Clean Air Act, which required them to reduce sulfur dioxide and cut visible pollution. But the truth is, the only thing clean coal is cleaner than is old coal. To their credit, or to avoid financial penalties, however you want to look at it, coal companies did add pollution controls in the form of scrubbers that remove sulfur dioxide and filters to remove particulates. These additions do generally improve air quality. However, they do nothing meaningful for CO2. Enter carbon capture and storage, aka CCS. This is what folks who defend clean coal point to: the ability to capture CO2 at the plant, compress it, and store it underground. In theory, reducing CO2 as much as 90%, which would be fantastic if it were a real thing. Unfortunately, there's way more evidence of Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster than of coal capture system operating at 90% success rate. Take the Petra Nova facility located in Thompson, Texas. Yeah, this is the best known coal CCS project in the US, and it captured only 55 to 58% of emissions, and most plants operate well below that capacity. Bullcrap. What I'm saying is that clean coal plants don't work very well. But are they cost competitive with other types of power? Well, take the proposed flagship clean coal project in Kemper County, Missouri, which was expected to cost $2.4 billion and was abandoned 9 years later when it hit $7.5 billion and was still inoperable. According to some estimates, building a coal plant is the second most expensive option at around $10,000 per kilowatt of capacity. It only beats nuclear at $12,000 per kilowatt of capacity. Every other type of power is less expensive to build. Okay, so we know coal releases a bunch of bad stuff. Cleanup efforts have been lackluster, and it's expensive. But sometimes sacrifices have to be made in the name of progress, right? Maybe we need the energy more than we need predictable weather or cancer-free lungs. And when evaluated strictly on its ability to provide energy, you would think coal would be a home run, but you would be wrong. It's more like a pop-up to the catcher at best. So the dirty little secret about coal is that it isn't just dirty, it's also expensive and incredibly inefficient. According to the US Energy Information Administration, most coal plants convert only 33% of the fuel's energy into electricity, with 67% being lost to cooling towers, exhausts, and et cetera, et cetera. Compare that to natural gas, which has a conversion rate of 60%, and natural gas sucks as an energy source. Then you compare that to nuclear power, which has a 90% conversion rate. Coal looks even worse. Basically, coal requires mining, crushing, lots of water for cooling, you have to transport it over long distances, and then when you add the carbon capture technology, it can reduce plant efficiency by another like 20 to 30%. So if we do the math there, that's the percentage and 30 for the thing, and that leaves bad. Math is bad. Meanwhile, renewables like wind and solar don't have combustion losses or thermal inefficiency. So while there may be variability depending on the weather, they don't waste energy turning heat into electricity. To compound the inherent operational inefficiency, a coal-fired power plant needs to retain the same temperature, so it continues to produce electricity day and night, even when demand drops significantly in the evenings. This means coal isn't just inefficient in how it converts energy, but how it fits into a modern grid that requires responsiveness and the ability to match supply with real-time demand. Basically, it's burning whether you want it or not. To recap what we learned so far, coal is bad for the environment, it's not clean, and it's neither cheap nor efficient. Coal is basically like going to the DMV if it gave you cancer. Calling number 67. Number 67, the final argument in favor of coal centers around supporting the hardworking Americans who depend on the industry for their livelihood. And I genuinely feel for these folks, same I would feel for anybody who is worried about becoming professionally obsolete for a variety of reasons. Looking at you, AI. Ugh. But that doesn't change the fact that most coal jobs are actually crappy jobs. The hope is that after transitioning away from coal, the folks working these jobs can find new jobs where you don't have an 8 times higher risk of dying from respiratory illnesses than the rest of the population. So for businesses, if you're looking for a historically hard-working group of people, I'm guessing that West Virginia and Wyoming would love to get out of the mines. Unlike the children, they yearn for the mines. So if we tally the points here, coal is bad for the people digging it up. The process of extracting it is bad. Burning it pumps out tons of pollution. It's not cheap, it's not efficient. So if we add that all up, coal is extremely stupid and it does nothing well. So whether you're talking to scientists, health experts, or finance bros, nobody thinks coal, clean coal, new and improved coal, anything coal is the answer, which is why no new coal power plants have been built since 2013. And why between 2010 and 2019, 290 coal power plants have been closed. And some good news, the remaining plants are expected to be closed by 2039. So Look, if you're Santa and you need a lump of coal to stuff in some troublesome kid's Christmas stocking because they won't stop making 6-7 jokes, perfect. Otherwise, I think I've demonstrated why it's time to dispense with all of the politics and hyperbole and just let this silly, outdated, stupid energy source go for good. Well, anyhow, if you enjoyed this video, please give us a subscribe and a like, and maybe a comment. And if it's a mean comment, I'll put coal inside of you. I'm Justin for EcoBits. Thank you so much for watching. Coal is stupid. I hate coal. I'd say burn it, but don't do that. Leave it in the ground. That's where it belongs. This is the end card. Click a video.